Join with computer audio. Ooh.
Look like you're peeking over.
I know. I swear I'm a big girl.
You need a booster chair over there? Should we start?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
5, 4, 3. Oh, for the love. I'm going to shut my door. Just a second.
Okay. She is shutting the door. Amy's walking to the door. Now she's shutting the door. And she's walking back. Not quite yet. The door is not shut. I don't see her walking back. She is not walking back. Where is Amy? Where is Amy? Amy shutting the door. And now she's coming back. And here she is. Whee!
Go lay down. God damn it. What the
Struggling with her headphones.
I can hear that you're singing, but I can't
really long.
I'm all tangled up. Can you explain to me why when you walk away from a bunch of chords, they just...
It's ghosts.
Jesus.
Okay, speaking of, all right, I think... Oh, sorry, we can get into it and then I'll...
Okay. All right.
Hello. Hi, friends, and welcome to the Activity Continues podcast. We are your hosts. This is Megan.
And this is Amy. Thanks for joining us again. This week, it's the week we've all been waiting for. I could insert a drum roll in there.
Why? When I had the most perfect one.
That's true. In fact, I'll cut that out and use it in future for when I do need a drum roll.
Yes. Soundbite.
All right. So this is our contribution to the BooPod Network Collaboration, the Bridgewater Triangle. But first, I think we need to welcome some new listeners who might be joining us for the first time because they have been listening to this series. Because I'm going to guess there's some people listening that don't already know us.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome. We're glad you're here. We're glad you found us. And
we hope you stay.
Yes. So a little bit about us. Megan and I met. What did we decide that was?
Oh my God. I think it was 2014, 2015.
That sounds
somewhere
right.
around there. We both worked at a company in downtown Minneapolis.
Yep.
I was a recruiter and she did everything else for the company.
That's literally what they told me when I went to the interview. They were like, so we have recruiters and we have salespeople and then you do everything else. I was like, okay.
Yes. So that's where we met. So it's now 2022. So what, 8 years?
Yeah.
We've been friends.
Yeah. That sounds right.
Yeah. And so we were watching a show together. By that, I mean, we were texting each other as we watched it. And Amy was like, we should do a podcast on this. And I was like, fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
And here we are.
So here we are. And that was January of this
2022.
Year.
Yeah.
So we are coming up on our 1 year.
Oh my God. We had to do something super amazing
yeah, we
for
gotta
it.
Do something super fun.
Oh,
for
wow.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
we both live in the metro area, suburbs, but we're not going to say where.
Of the Twin
Cities in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't you tell by our accents? Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, for sure. Oh, that's different. Different? I'm just going to scooch past you with some ranch.
Oh.
You know what I was wondering? Like, what do people who aren't from the Midwest say? Do they not, like, if they don't say "ope"? What do they say?
I don't know. Oops. I don't
know.
When
you scooch past someone and you go, "Oh, just gonna scooch past you." What do you guys say?
I don't know.
Maybe
that's a good question.
Like normal people?
Like normal people?
No, we just gonna scooch past you here. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, pardon me.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that you mentioned ranch because I was at a restaurant and they asked me what I wanted on my salad or whatever. And I'm like, well, ranch, of course. And the woman goes, I'm like, where are we? And the woman goes, oh, Minnesota sauce. Gotcha.
Yeah. So true.
I always call it Minnesota sauce now.
And people in the Midwest, at least in Minnesota, have very strong opinions on the ranch they like.
Yeah.
Like
That's true.
they will have a favorite ranch company.
Yes, that is
And
true.
I'm like, to me, I'm not a big ranch person. Like I'll eat ranch, if it's an option, but I'm not like, oh my God, I gotta have ranch.
Yeah.
I will say though, if like a supper club, they make the best homemade ranches.
Oh, of course, because they're house made. Yeah.
Oh my God, did you see there's a new supper club opening in St. Paul?
No.
Oh, I'll have to find it. I totally thought of you today. I saw it on LinkedIn.
Oh, fun. I
New
would love to
supper
go.
club. Yeah, I thought of you.
We should do that for our anniversary.
Yeah.
Go have a nice dinner.
You had me at ranch.
Did they have baked potatoes wrapped in tinfoil? Because I need that.
How else do you make a baked potato in a supper club?
Right. Okay. Good.
I don't know. I didn't see their menu. I just saw it on LinkedIn, and my first thought was, "Oh my God, I gotta tell Amy."
Yeah, that sounds good to me. For sure.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure.
I promise you guys, we don't talk like that all the time. At least I don't think we do.
I can definitely tell I lived in the Middle East for our new listeners. And when I would talk to my mom, my friends would say that my Minnesota accent would come out like way stronger than it normally was. And so they'd always, Mom, oh, hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
Mom, bagel, bag. So anyways, all right. Funny. What's our socials? What are our socials for them to find us?
Our socials, we are on Instagram at The Activity Continues, on Facebook at facebook.com/The Activity Continues, and Twitter at The Activity because they not CONT because
like shortened for continued,
right? Because Twitter will only let you use however many characters that is. So
we're a couple of characters.
That's for sure. So
the premise of our show is we recap episodes of a paranormal show called The Dead Files. So it's got Amy. Oh my God, what is her last name?
Amy Allen.
Amy Allen. Jeez. So Amy Allen is the medium. And then Steve DeShavi is a retired New York homicide detective. He's from Brooklyn, He's from Brooklyn. He likes a good stogie.
Yep.
And so he goes in and he interviews people who are having issues in their house, and he and Amy don't talk the entire time. Amy doesn't talk to anybody. She doesn't talk to the family members. They remove any pictures, any sort of identifying stuff in the house. So Amy goes in basically blind for the most part, not knowing anything about the house. And then at the end, they'll meet up with the house owners or property owners, because it's not always a house. Sometimes it's restaurants or inns has been a popular one.
Yeah.
And then, Amy goes over her findings, and they always have a sketch. And then she tells them what they need to do to cleanse their house if they can, or their property. And we also do have an interview with a couple of clients.
Yes.
Who were on the show, and you guys, they are the sweetest.
Yeah.
So you really should check that out, because they were the best. They were so nice. Jennifer and Lance.
Yep. That was 2 episodes ago. I think it was our number 36. This would be 38. So 2 episodes ago, we had a great conversation with them. And
we could have talked. We talked for, what was it, 2.5 hours?
It was about 2.5 hours, yeah.
And then we were like, holy shit, we should probably go, live our lives.
We do have to go to bed.
I know.
It was really fun. And they had a good time too. So they said they'd be happy to come back again. So we may have them back on again. Yes. Also, if any other people are listening who are regulars here, and you know already what we do, and you have been on the show, we would love to have you on. We would love to talk to you about your experience. And so hit us up at our socials. Our email is theactivitycontinues@gmail.com.
And if you contact us on the socials, you are contacting Amy.
Yeah, I'm the one
She
that
literally runs everything. I just show up.
That's not true.
It's you guys.
Well, you're an admin in the Facebook page.
That's true. I am an admin. I'm gonna get a t-shirt that says I'm an admin. Hashtag admin. So
Yeah.
and you guys, the show is just, it's phenomenal. It's emotional.
Yeah.
Episodes have made me cry. I've had to
Yep.
stop watching them because they're scary. So maybe don't have your kids watch them.
No, maybe not for kids. I don't get as scared by them. I get a
No.
little freaked out, but I don't
But
get.
you're a lot more brave than me.
I don't know
Like,
about that.
yeah.
I mean, maybe watching TV. I don't know how I'd do if I was right there with them.
I'd shit my pants.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, the one time I thought that there was a true ghost in my house. I mean, I have had things happen in not this house that I live in now, but
the one before.
The house I lived in before was in uptown Minneapolis. It was right by the lakes. It was an old Victorian.
Oh, it was so neat.
Yeah, it was a really, really cool house built in 1876, 1886. And it was a beautiful old house, and it was hella haunted. And but it was like nothing scary, really, except that there was like I think it was it a dream, or it was like a lucid dream or something that a ghost was playing a piano, and I woke up thinking, oh my God, they're really down there playing the piano, and I actually got really scared.
Yeah,
but they weren't. I mean, or if they were, they stopped. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, there were lots. So the other thing we do is we tell stories about our ghosty experiences, and we take listener experiences, listener stories, and we read those or have.
We've had a couple.
Yep. We've had a few listener things.
If you feel comfortable, and we can make it anonymous, we can change your name. So if you want to share your stories, please send them in. We love it, you guys. We love the spooky. I like it in, noon on a Tuesday in broad daylight. But of course, we record in my basement at night. What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Yeah, we have
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
We've had noises on the recording.
We don't always hear them like when we're here doing it. No. But then when I'm editing it later, I'm like, what the hell is that? And I amplify it, and it sounds like a voice. I mean, one time it was your husband.
Yeah, but that's it. Yeah. It was only that one time.
Yeah, but we have heard other things. And we can get to all that, another time. We've already talked about some of it. So, you
go back and listen.
Go back and listen. But anyway, that's the wrap. Or that's the shortened version
of what our show. So that gives you a shot of how much Amy has to edit out, because when we chat, we really go off topic.
Yeah, it'll take us 35 minutes to do 5 minutes of text. So this can be a long one. Yeah. So that's another thing. We're gonna mostly what we do is recaps, and so. The idea for our portion of this series was that we were going to find a show and do a recap of it, or a movie, whatever. And I found this show on Epix called Fall River, and it's a 4-part documentary series. And it's about
3.5 hours.
Oh, is it? Well, okay. It was 4 episodes, and they're about an hour apiece. But anyway, I started watching it. I got a 7-day free trial of Epix. I'm like, it's 4 hours. I can bang this out in a day if I have to. You guys, it's taken me a month to get through it because it is tough.
And what Amy did in a month, I did in a day, because I'm a procrastinator. And bless Amy's heart, she's like, I could feel your panic over the text when you're like, oh, have you started yet? And I'm like, no. I haven't.
Like, you might want to get on that. It took me 2 weeks.
Like, it took me 2 weeks, and it's 12 pages, and that's only one part of it. And I'm like, fuck, because this was like literally 2 days ago, Saturday.
It was like Friday. Yeah, it was a Saturday.
This is Monday the 24th. Yeah. It was Saturday. No, it was Friday.
It's Friday because I think you were at work and you were listening to it.
Yes, and you were like,
you might want to get on that
Minnesota nice way.
Might want to get on that.
And I'm like, no, it's fine. And then oh my God.
It's a hard watch because there's
so many. I mean, Jesus Christ. There's so many people. Like, I was texting Amy earlier and I'm like, did they get the guy at the 7-Eleven that they talked to? Because there's so many talking heads in this.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's really, yeah. I actually made note cards.
Yeah.
As I like to do, I made flashcards of everybody. I have a flashcard for Barbara Raposa. I have a flashcard for Carl Davis. Drew. Oh, Carl Davis too. There's 2 Carls. That's another thing. 2 Carls, 2 Allens.
2 Allens. Who's Carl Davis?
Carl Davis is one of the ones that was in the car when they kidnapped Karen.
Oh, right, with Willie
according
Smith.
to Robin's story.
Yeah, which
we'll get to that.
Which version?
Anyway, so
we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We're getting ahead of ourselves as we usually do. But
bless you.
I also
that was a dog.
I have 3 dogs. I have 4 dogs, but 3 of them like to hang out with me down here while I'm recording. And one of them likes to chew on squeaky toys, and I took them all away. But now she's huffing behind me. She's really the one that's the most pain in the ass.
Dramatic.
Yeah, she is.
Is that Gracie?
That's Gracie.
Yeah, of course that is. Why was I even asking?
No, she's kind of a pain
okay.
in the ass,
So my ghost story, maybe.
Okay.
So John and I John is my husband. And so we have, salt and pepper shakers, as literally every person in America does. And John moves the salt and pepper shakers around like all the time. And so I'm like, John, where's the salt and pepper shakers? We found the salt shaker. Shake it like a salt shaker. We could not find the pepper shaker. We looked all over counters, table. We even pulled in between our stove and our fridge. We have this little like island cart that our air fryer sits on. We pulled that out, looked everywhere for it. Couldn't find it anywhere. So John just got like the big square pepper thing that you get from the store to fill your pepper shaker.
Yeah.
And we were using that because John and I are like, it's gone. Like we have no idea where this thing went.
Was it in the mattress?
No, it was not in the mattress.
That's where her wedding ring was last week.
Yeah, that my son lost. It was on the counter by the knife set, which we had looked in. We had looked over there. So I'm like, do we have ghosts?
You've got what do they call that? The ones that like to trickster.
Like a sprite, like a house ghost, a house fairy.
Yeah, house fairy maybe.
No, a brownie.
Brownie. Is it a brownie that likes to move shit around?
I thought it was brownies.
I can't keep them all straight. I don't remember. Know. Trickster of some kind.
So I swear to you, Amy, we looked in this spot and it was plain as day on the counter.
I have had that happen before too. In this house. I didn't have it happen in the old house. But I think I have a house brownie or whatever that is in this house.
100% sure that we looked there.
Yeah.
Multiple times. And I looked not yesterday, but I think Saturday morning. And I just looked and there it was right on the counter.
Yeah.
And I said to John, we have ghosts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I honestly am wondering if that's what happened to my rings too, because.
Well, that's what I was saying. How could your son have put the rings in between the box spring and the mattress?
Backstory. I have a wedding and engagement ring that are soldered together. And then for Mother's Day, my husband got me just a plain band. So because my engagement ring is raised, I don't want it to cut my son like when I play with him or change his diaper. And so I got just a plain band with some diamonds on it that's flat. So I took those off because I took a nap. And anytime I sleep, I go to bed, I take my rings off because a jeweler once told me if you sleep with your engagement ring on, over time, the sheets can pull the prongs, causing them to loosen and the diamond to fall out.
Really?
That's what I was told. So it's got to be true. So I always take them off when I sleep. And so this time I took a nap and my son came in my room and he's 2. And so he was kind of playing around and I was in bed, just he was playing and I wasn't sleeping, obviously, but I was just, on my phone, just kind of watching him every now and then. And I thought he had gotten my rings because they were no longer on the nightstand. I tore this room apart. I looked under the bed multiple times with flashlights. I ran my hand over the carpet. I looked through my laundry basket. I looked in every drawer that was his height. I took the vent off the wall, thinking that he had maybe put it in there.
Yeah.
It was nowhere to be found. So I told my husband, who was remarkably calm about it, because he was like, oh, we'll find them. And, I'm dreading telling him because you don't want to tell your partner that you've lost your wedding rings.
Right.
So we're both at this point tearing it apart, and at this point we're like, they're gone. Like, we have no idea where these rings are. I hope they're insured because they're gone.
Mhm.
One last time I looked under the bed with a big flashlight, like a very high powered flashlight, and I saw the single band. And I said, John, they're here. I can see the band. The wedding band has got to be around here. So he lifted up the mattress. The wedding band was between the bed frame and the box spring.
Yeah, that's
How would it have gotten there?
no idea. There's no way your kid could have done that. He's 2, you know?
I know.
There's no way
He
his
would have
little
had to
hands would have.
shove it down and push it under the bed spring or the box spring, because
Yeah.
it wasn't just at the edge.
Right.
Like, it was
Way in.
So
Yeah.
we have ghosts. There's no other logical explanation.
I can't figure out what that could have been. If not.
If you have an idea, let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
We're open.
Mhm.
I'd prefer not to have ghosts. They scare me.
It is weird to think that there might be people walking around your house that you
Mhm.
can't see. That's always something that kind of set me off a little on my old at my old house.
I mean, do they watch us when we like have sex?
I don't know. That would
I
be a
hope
question
not.
for Jenny, the psychic.
I don't think I want to know. I already have performance anxiety.
I would think they would be like, okay, I don't need to watch that. I'll just
I would hope, but
look away.
To be honest, if you've seen it once, it's the same thing every time, you guys. You do different positions, you change, but it's the result is the same.
The mechanics are pretty much
exactly
the same.
So
maybe not for everyone.
Well, that's true.
But anyway,
for the most part,
we digress.
We warned you. We warned you.
Yeah, it's already been what, 20 minutes, and we haven't even gotten to the. Started really.
It's been 30 to be. It's been 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so tonight we are talking about the satanic sex cult murders that occurred near or possibly in the Freetown State Forest, which is in Bridgewater Triangle, which is in, I believe, Massachusetts.
Yep.
Based on the accents, which I love. You know how I feel about a good East Coast accent. Her father.
Yeah.
So the murders, there were multiple murders. They were committed in the late 1970s and early 1980s.
Yep. So if you don't already know what the Bridgewater Triangle is, I suggest going back and listening to some of the other episodes in this series. The very first one is a kind of a intro sort of overall overview of the whole series, so that would be a good one. I mean, they're all good. I've listened to them all the ones that have been released so far. By the time this comes out, they will all be released. We are the last one in the group in the series.
Yep.
So but I will give you a brief explanation that I got from Wikipedia. The Bridgewater Triangle is an area of about 200 square miles within southeastern Massachusetts in the United States, claimed to be a site of alleged paranormal phenomena ranging from UFOs to poltergeists, orbs, balls of fire, and other spectral phenomena, various Bigfoot-like sightings, giant snakes, and thunderbirds. So some of the other episodes are going to be covering things like that. A couple other ones are doing some murders that happened in the state forest. And then
it's just a spooky area.
There's a lot of
it's kind of like the Bermuda Triangle, but over land.
Right.
For the most part. I mean, it's spooky.
Yeah, it is.
Spooky dooky.
So I don't know that there's that much else we need to talk about.
You really talk about it all.
But I do want to say every week we do a podcast promo partner. And usually it's somebody from the BooPod Network, and we exchange promos. They play ours, we play theirs. And this week, I didn't want to show any favoritism to any of the other BooPod shows.
How do you pick a favorite?
I know. They're all good. Really, you guys. They're all good.
And we're not just saying that. Like, they really are.
They really are.
Yeah.
So I decided that I would instead this time just give you guys a glimpse into my other podcast, which is called Volstead Land. And it's kind of on hiatus right now because honestly, this show takes up a lot of time. And then I had to get a job.
Gross.
Yeah, I know, right? So I just don't have time to produce 2 shows anymore. But it's a fun show if you're into old-timey true crime.
And actually, it came about because, tell them how it came about, Amy.
Well, it came about because in my old house, like as we said, that had ghosts. When we were getting ready to sell it to move here, my friend, who's now Megan's friend too, her name is Melissa. She and her husband are real estate agents, and they were our agents putting the house up, and they were at getting ready for an open house. And Melissa, who is sensitive, possibly a medium, basically met a ghost in the house. And I don't want to get too into it because there's an episode about it in the show that you can listen to, but basically she met this ghost, and she said she called me later and she's like, he was kind of like a gangster, a bootlegger or something like that. And she had like a vague idea of what his name is when she was trying to get his name from him. And then she Googled variations on what that name sounded like in her head and found out that it was a guy named Kid Can. His real name is Isidore Blumenfield. He went by the name Kid Can, and he was a bootlegger, and he was Jewish, and my house was like a block away from the synagogue. And so she's pretty sure that she met Kid Can in my house. And so I started looking into his stuff, and then
it was fascinating.
Yeah, so interesting. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Slippery guy. He did a lot of bad shit and got away with 90% of it. So yeah, he did some good stuff too. You know, as those gangsters, I think even and now we don't call them gangsters today. That's somebody different, but people like him that, had a lot of money, did a lot of bad business deals, screwed people over. They won good graces from the community by building a school or giving money to the library or that kind of thing, so that they could get away with their shit, which I won't name any names, but there are people in the world today that do that.
Also, fun fact, Melissa's the one who wrote our theme song.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, the first time I heard it, I got chills. It's so, and she has her own podcast.
She has a few,
yeah. Oh, she has a few. That's right. Yeah.
Her big one is called the Skylark Bell, and it's her reading a story that she wrote.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I really put it on, no offense, Melissa, but sometimes I put it on to fall asleep because her voice is so soothing.
It is. She has a beautiful voice. She's a singer-songwriter, so she sings too. There's music in her.
She's so talented.
She's multi-talented. Yeah. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Shout out to Melissa.
M to the E to the L, Melissa.
Okay. So I think we are ready.
Who knows?
Should we just jump right in?
Let's jump right in.
Right out of the gate? Okay.
When I was a child, I ran for the bins. Been so many downs, so many beds. Now I'm coming down, you'll lower your looks. I was born from woods, deep for your limbs. I'll burn your bones.
In the Prohibition years of Minneapolis, Minnesota, there was an underworld. Gangs of bootleggers, bandits, sluggers, and murderers roamed the streets and conducted their business. One of the most legendary figures of that time was Isidore Blumenfeld, also known as Kid Can. He began as a newsboy and grew into the most notorious gangster Minneapolis has to offer, and either a psychopath or the nicest guy ever, depending on who you ask. Volsteadland explores this world. Join me, Amy, and my co-host Heather as we journey through this era of prohibition, bank robberies, empty promises, and murder.
If you like what you hear after the murder story, please tune in next time for the gory details, aka the recap of the 4-part documentary series.
Cool. Do you want to read the content warning?
Sure. So the content warning Oh my God, literally everything.
Anything gross you can think of.
Yeah. We did take a screenshot though of what the documentary listed: rape, torture, murder, drug use, drug abuse, animal cruelty, language, sexual assault. I mean, everything you could think of literally happened in this. Human sacrifice. There's talk of Satanism, obviously. Yeah, anything and everything. Content warning.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it even says in here, but oh yeah, it does. Animal cruelty. I was like, that was the thing that was really hard for me. Whew, yeah, it's a doozy. Okay. So
there's a lot of it and not.
Yeah.
It's really, really interesting. Like it's a really interesting case, and it's very on par for 1970s, 1980s crime. But it's tough, you guys. Like we don't mince words. We don't sugarcoat.
I do. I will say that when I wrote my notes, I did leave out a lot of the gory details because things that aren't important to the story. I mean, maybe they are, but not.
We don't need to bring them up.
Yeah, there's just some really gross things that I left out just because I didn't want to say it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the story takes place in Fall River, which is a town in Massachusetts that you may have heard of before. It is where the Bordens of the Lizzie Borden Took an Axe fame lived and died.
Okay, I just want to say I have such an issue with that rhyme because it's so unbearably not true.
I know.
Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her father 40 whacks. No, it was like 19, which is still a lot.
It's a lot, but it's also, are we
40.
sure that she did it? I mean, that's a whole other story.
That's a whole nother podcast. We don't have time to get in. I just wanted to say I had incidents with that. So anyways.
It's a dumb rhyme. So anyway, on October 13th, 1979, the body of a woman was found behind the bleachers at Diamond Vocational High School. Her hands and feet were bound with fishing wire. She was naked. I am not going to go into any more details about what was done to her, but we do need to note that she was bludgeoned in the head with a rock. Her skull was smashed.
So it was said that there was evidence of ritualistic undertones, which not is bullshit. This is in the middle of satanic panic, everybody.
Yeah.
So that just means that one of the investigators was buying into the satanic panic. And it could just be that in some area they found a pentagram or, bones or something. Like there's none of the stories, none of the murders have any actual evidence of cult stuff. There's rumors, there's stories. We'll get into that, but there's no cut and dry evidence that this was any sort of satanic killing.
Right. So her identity was unknown, and a composite sketch was done and released to the public. A man came forward and identified her as his friend, Doreen Levesque. She was only 17 years old.
Yeah, she was so young, you guys.
I know.
And it's a whole other thing. Anyway, so she was a sex worker. Now, I will say that in the show, they called them prostitutes.
Yes.
We are not doing that because that is not what they go by.
Right.
So anytime they say the word prostitute, we change it to sex workers. And I did that in my notes too.
It probably is what they went by back then, but
that's 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So she was a sex worker working in Fall River, but she was from nearby Bedford. She chose to work in Fall River because she was embarrassed about having to resort to sex work and didn't want anybody she knew to recognize her in her hometown.
That made me really sad.
It did.
Especially because she ended up being identified
by a friend.
Her dead, after she was dead, her composite sketch.
And in this doc, they showed real dead bodies, and I'm can we not?
I was like, could I have gotten a little bit of a warning there? I was not
exactly
expecting
what I said, and they're like decomposed. Like this is not.
They're like carrying a skull. Yeah. It's not Doreen, but it's later. But I was like, oh, okay.
Can we maybe not, please?
Yeah.
So other content warning: dead bodies.
Yeah.
Actual dead bodies, not like actors portraying a dead body.
Right, like in CSI.
And I'm on the same boat as Amy here. We really would love to say the police worked hard to find the murderer, but they got tied up. So I think what happened is rather than let the evidence lead them somewhere, they got an idea and they made the evidence, and I use that term loosely, fit their
because there was no evidence.
theory.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. And we'll get to more of that too. But yeah, this is
the title of this episode could be "We'll Get to It."
Yeah. We say that all the time too, but this case is maddening to both of us in a gazillion ways.
And I was trying so hard not to text Amy while I was watching it because I was trying to save it for the show, but some of it I couldn't. Some of it I'm like, classic 1970s. And if you're into true crime, I don't even need to explain that to you. You know exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
So a few months after that, January 26th, 1980, another woman's body was found, and her body was frozen solid, frozen solid. Her hands and feet were also tied, and her skull was also crushed. This victim's name was Barbara Raposa. She was also a sex worker, 19 years old. She had gone missing November of 1979, so just a month after Doreen's murder.
And after this murder, the police kind of perked up a little bit more, and they fielded tons of tips from sex workers in the town saying that there was a satanic cult that had been meeting in an apartment building in town. And I think this is what really started the ball rolling on that satanic theory, especially because Barbara's boyfriend, 42-year-old Andy Maltese.
Yeah,
Andy Maltese.
It reminded me of a dog.
Yep. Okay. So Barbara's 42-year-old boyfriend, Andre Matisse, went by Andy. He'd been spouting off devil shit for some time.
I want to throw out, we're using the word boyfriend very loosely.
Yes. She considered him her boyfriend, but it was a fucked up relationship.
He was a pedophile.
He was a rapist.
He was a groomer, a rapist, sexual assaulter. He was trash.
Not a good guy.
And we get into that more when we do the deep dive into the recap, but we're just like we said, this is a very high overview.
Yeah.
Kind of introducing the players and then leading up to the murder.
Right.
So it was around this time that Karen Marsden, and again, she's a very young sex worker. Her age is up for debate. Some people, Wikipedia says 20. But I swear
they said she was younger in the show. I think they said she was 17 because I first had her written down as 17.
Yeah.
And then I went to Wikipedia to get the dates correct instead of watching the whole show for the 18th time. So, and that said she was 20. And I was like, I don't.
So, and 17 to 20 is where Karen is. So Karen Marsden, sex worker, 17 to 20, told police that Robin Murphy, another 17-year-old sex worker, and Carl Drew, a pimp, were leading satanic rituals, and that those two, Robin and Carl Drew, had ritualistically murdered Doreen and Barbara. So this is what Karen told police.
Yep.
Quick interjection.
Yep.
I thought that Robin wasn't a sex worker because she didn't want to be a sex worker. She was a pimp. She was trying to be a pimp, and that's why her and Carl butt heads.
She was a sex worker, but she was trying, you're right, she was trying to be a pimp.
So she was trying to move up.
And Carl didn't want to have that because he wanted to run the streets himself.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But she did, apparently she did do some sex work. I mean, she started out that way.
Okay.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit about Robin, and we'll get into her story a little bit more later. But she is a super tough cookie. She had gotten in physical street fights where she's punching like grown men. And one of the cops is telling a story about how she was fighting some guy outside of a bar and like fist fighting him, and he ran away scared from her.
Yeah. Like, and then Trish said she followed him with a beer bottle.
Yes. And threw a beer bottle at him. Yeah.
You didn't fuck with her. Yeah. Like, that's the end of the story.
Yep. Yeah.
So a few weeks later, Karen was supposed to meet up with cops again, but she didn't show up. 6 months after that, her body was found. However, a little different. She was not found with her hands and her feet tied and her skull crushed. No, only part of her skull was found. Some
half.
upper teeth, the top half of her skull. The rest of her never been found. That's all they have of her is the top half of her head.
Yep.
Gruesome, you guys.
There was some talk about, I think one of these people said at some point that they burned her body, but again,
they change stories like I change pants.
Exactly. Yep. It's yeah. Anyway, so yeah, after the investigation, the police decided, as you said before, decided that the murders were committed by Carl Drew and Robin Murphy with help from 2 other men in the community. But as it turns out, not men that they even hung out with. One of them, Carl Drew, said he didn't even know. So the other 2 are Carl Davis and William Smith, who goes by Willie.
Yeah.
And that another sex worker named Carol Fletcher was an accessory as she drove the car that they used to kidnap Karen.
So the police had been with Karen the night that she went missing. They say she was acting crazy, their words, saying that Carl Drew was going to kill her. So they offered her police protection, like witness protection or not witness protection, but like going into custody.
Police custody, yeah. She would have had to sit in a jail cell.
And she refused.
Yeah.
She instead asked to be taken to a local church so she could talk to a priest because she wanted to get out. She wanted to, they threatened her son. She had a 2-year-old son and she wanted to leave.
So the cops dropped her off and never saw her again. And I put in my notes that I call BS on 90% of this story. Again, everybody in this story is fucking lying.
All of them.
Everybody's lying.
Every single person.
So they say that they met her they met her this once, and then she was supposed to show up for the next meeting and she didn't show up, and then her body was found. But that isn't true because they were with her the night that she was murdered. So
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So the story the cops went with is that Karen left the church, wandered around town, met up with Robin Murphy. Then Carol drove up in her rental car with Carl Davis and Willie Smith, and with Robin's help, shoved Karen into the car. I don't know how Carl Drew got into this, because in that scenario, he wasn't even mentioned. But apparently he was the one that forced. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
There's so much evidence putting him not even in this scene.
I know.
But he
wasn't there.
Anyway, yeah.
So, they drove to the woods, the Freetown State Forest, which, as we mentioned before, and if you've heard other episodes in the series, you will know what other kind of shady shit went down in there, and ritualistically murdered her. And again, I won't go into too many details, except that they do say, and Robin said this at one point too, that she slit Karen's throat and pulled out a bunch of her hair, and her hair was found at the scene, and that she did it because Carl Drew forced her to do it, and that she was scared for her life. Which again, bullshit. Because Robin isn't scared of anybody.
She's not scared of anybody. No. Yeah, she's the scarer, not the scaree.
Yeah, 17 years old.
Yeah, and she's chasing 25-year-old men with beer bottles, trying to hit him in the head.
Right.
She was not afraid of Carl Drew. No. So when the trial came around, they offered Carol a deal for immunity for testifying against Carl, which she took. Robin also turned state's evidence in order to avoid a first-degree murder conviction, and she was the key witness for the prosecution. She's 100% the reason that Carl is in jail.
Yeah, they all said if it weren't for her, he would have.
They would have had no case.
Yeah,
they would have no case.
They would have no evidence.
Right.
And at that time, they didn't know she was a big fat liar, and so they believed everything she said.
Yeah. 3 men were indicted for murder, but only Carl went to trial for it. The other 2 men had their charges quietly dropped, probably because everyone knew they were not involved.
Yeah, that's Carl Davis and Willie.
Yeah.
Smith.
Carl and Willie, and it goes into detail further on. The prosecuting attorney, what was his name? Pino, something.
Oh, that's the DA, Ronald.
The DA,
Pina.
Ron Pina.
Yeah,
it was an election year,
Yep.
And he had lost a lot of murder trials.
Yep.
And he needed a win.
Yep.
And so what better than to get this win for these gruesomely, there's so many key phrases: satanic, ritualistic, murder, sex work, drugs. There's every key phrase, key word to make something sensational.
Yep.
He had to get this in the bag.
Yep.
And so they just glommed on to a theory and went with it.
Yep. So yeah, Carl was convicted of first-degree murder and sent to prison for life with no chance of parole. This was in Karen's murder.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, not all three.
We haven't even gotten into Doreen and Barbara.
Yeah. So, well, the thing, and we'll talk about this more when we talk about the show, but they were going to charge him, or they originally charged him with Doreen and Karen's murder. At this time, I don't believe Barbara's body had been found yet, because she wasn't found until January of 19.
Right. And the other two were November, weren't they? Or
yeah, they were October and November.
Yeah.
And so, and things move faster back then than they do now, you know, like in my other podcast, Volsteadland, I mean, they rob a bank on Tuesday, they're on trial on Thursday. I mean, it's very quick. It's not like that now. But, so Carl was he was charged originally with the 2 murders. And then when it came time to go to trial, they realized they didn't have any evidence on the Doreen murder. And so they decided to convict him only for Karen Marsden's murder. And they decided that instead they were just going to pretend in the trial like he was already guilty of Doreen's murder and that he killed Karen because she knew that he killed Doreen. Yep. They made up this whole story.
Yeah, they made it seem like he only killed Karen because she was a witness to Doreen's murder.
Exactly.
And he was trying to kill her to silence her.
Yep.
Even though there's evidence that he was at a completely different location. Evidence with pictures. There's pictures of him.
Yeah.
At a completely different location. The same time that Karen was allegedly murdered.
Yep.
But
Yep. So Robin pled guilty to second-degree murder. There was no trial for her, and she was sentenced to life in prison with chance of parole. She actually did get paroled in 2004, but she wasn't out too long. I think it was 7 years.
Yep.
Before she violated parole by
2011.
Yep. That's right. She violated parole by being in a relationship with a felon and is currently still in prison. And the documentary spends a great deal of time interviewing her. Yeah. So if you're interested in hearing more about that, stay tuned for our recap. Stay tuned. She is fascinating.
She is in a what's the word I'm looking for? Like praying mantis type of way.
As somebody who studied
Black
psychology, I don't know.
She is like a compulsive liar.
Oh, she's so many things. She's so many things.
Yeah. Troubled.
I mean, I don't want to have her come after me because my God, she scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
But I have to say that she is like one of the guys in the documentary said, one thing about her, she is the smartest person in the entire story.
I think that was Thomas Joaquin. I think he said, I think he said she's probably even smarter than us.
Oh yeah. She basically conned everybody.
She did.
But still ended up in prison.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
So that's the overview basically of
super high level.
Yeah, super high level. There's so much more that we really want to get into, but we wanted to give you guys like what do they call that in corporate America? The 30-foot view or something?
Elevator pitch.
No, that's something different. But when they say that we're going to look at it, like we don't want to get into the
bird's
minutia.
eye view.
Yeah, it gets like that, but I think they use 30,000 feet.
Oh.
It's corporate speak, that bullshit. Mm-hmm. So we will be talking more about that stuff when we recap the 4-part series.
Yeah.
So stay
tuned because
tune in.
Shit gets weirder, you guys.
Yep. So
Thank you for joining us, everybody. We really appreciate it. And thank you especially to our new listeners
Yes.
who are joining us from this amazing series that we're doing.
Yeah. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you come back and listen to more. Reminder, the next episode we put out, which hopefully will be next week, is going to be a real deep dive into this 4-part documentary series. We're going to shred it to pieces. Just kidding.
We are. And like Amy said, and we said before, the reason we're doing it, we couldn't give it justice in this. We would be here for 5 hours.
Yeah.
And
so we'll be here tomorrow for 5 hours instead.
For 5 hours, yeah. No, we'll be here for 4. We've already got an hour out of the way.
That's right.
And then, Amy, do you want to give us an Alanism?
Yeah. So for those of you who are new here, my dad's name is Alan, and he passed away in 2019. And he was a broadcast guy. He was on radio. He was on TV. And I kind of wanted to honor him by each episode, just kind of a nod to him. And one way is that when he was probably the last 10 years of his life, he was slowly going into some kind of dementia or Alzheimer's. It was never exactly diagnosed, but he was saying funny shit for a long time. I mean, he said funny shit his whole life when but when his mind started to go, he said even more funny shit. And we're not making fun of him. He he loved that everybody thought this was funny. And his wife, my stepmom, had a journal that she kept in her purse constantly. And every time he would say something, she'd whip it out and write it down. And when he passed away, I think it was before he passed away, actually, she gave me this Word document that's several pages of all these different goofy things that he said. So we like to end every episode with what we call an Alanism.
Because we are wondering if some of the things we're hearing are him. And we hope they are.
Hey, Dad.
Hey,
Say
Alan.
it right into here. Talk right into this microphone.
Right there. Make sure that you talk into the microphone.
Right.
Because
not into the back.
Not into the back. Go back and listen for that story. I'm
That's
smart
a good
in other
story.
ways.
So this one I
hear
picked
it.
out because because we talked about the Freetown State Forest, and it's like a park, I guess. So this is the quote. I love Wolf Park with all its deeks and gusses. I have no idea what deeks and gusses are. I don't even know what Wolf Park is. I mean, it must be in the Twin Cities here somewhere.
Maybe deer and geese.
Maybe. Yeah.
Deeks and gusses.
So that's the kind of thing that he did, is he switched words up like that. And then he would just say it, and then we'd all be like, okay.
Sure, Dad. There was something that I had a thought and I wanted to tell it to you. Like literally right now, and I just forgot it.
Is it about a park? Is it about
No. I don't know what it was about.
Geese?
If it comes to me, I'll text you.
Okay.
And I'm sure I'll text you in 5 minutes with something
minutes,
that you need to know. 20 minutes. You're so funny. It'll take that long.
Yeah. We got to send each other some TikToks before we go to bed anyway.
That's my love language, is TikTok.
I know. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Activity Continues podcast. We really appreciate you giving us your ears for a bit. Please reach out if you have a suggestion for which episode of the Dead Files we should cover next, or if you have a spooky story you'd like us to share on the show. We can be reached at theactivitycontinues@gmail.com or through our website or any of our socials. Links are all in the description of the show. Please feel free to drop us a note and say hi. And join us next time when the activity continues. The Activity Continues is produced by me, Amy, at Collected Sounds Media, and is part of the independent Collected Sounds Podcast Network. We are also proud members of the BooPod Network of super cool podcasts.
Nailed it.